Welcome everybody at Ask the Professor, the first edition also in this track and train first courses of the full certificate for professional education. Hopefully you like and you enjoyed the first weeks, and let's go on, and please be very active. When you have cases, put it in and please upload it on the forum. Discuss with each other, be active, because this is your time. It's also free time. You can use us to give some feedback as we do in this video. So it's up to you how much interactive action you like. We also use, and also my team will give feedback on the forum on the internet. So yeah, feel free and be active and set all the problems you like to discuss online. So then we can do the discussions. I saw 4 questions, so good to see. Let's go on with the questions. The first question was about, okay, when we have climate change, we have a rising of the sea level, what can we do with the track? For example, now we have on the beach more or less 2 meters high, you have your construction, but when the sea level is coming up, yeah, how to get rid of and how to drain your construction by the ballast, for example. That's one of the functions of ballast. Yeah, that's only one answer, I would say. You have to raise the full construction, otherwise it will flow away, and you have then you have no problems. But that's very costly. You can also think about, okay, when you do renewals during the time the sea level will come up, why not use ballastless track or slab track or piled foundation track? That's also a consideration, but that's another way. You have to invest. But there is no solution. You can say, okay, I make a small dike around and then pump or whatever, because the sea you cannot estimate how the sea will behave, because when there is a big storm or whatever, all the full construction of the railway will flood away. No excuse. So be aware of that, and when you have this kind of problems, I would say prepare yourself and invest anyhow. A nice question was about ETMS, because ETMS, the E from Europe, means we have a standardized homologation, you could say, about ETMS, about the signaling process, and then everybody in Europe has to do the same, following the same procedure, and also the same procedures for signaling. Otherwise, we have real big problems when we travel from one country to another. Then the question was, is it also necessary to make the standardization on track as well? And that's depending on what level of ETMS you like. When you also have systems inside the construction, like cabling, and you'll use like level 1 or maybe 2, you also use the signaling as you have now, then you have this problem, because then how to harmonize this when you go from one country to another. But when you have a higher level, like level 3 or maybe 4, then it's more easier, because then you have the system inside the train, and then it is just to harmonize the trains, and that is then that's your action list, and then the track is less important. But okay, that's it, depending what choice you make in your country, what level you make, and then you have to adapt the system, and sometimes it is adapted inside the track as well. But when you go on a high level of ETMS, it's not necessary anymore, and please focus on the rolling stock. I see a nice discussion about ballast mats, stabilization, how to do with embankments, also with the tensor discussions, and also videos. Great, that's exactly what I like to see. And please put in also your cases. When you have questions, use each other's knowledge from every country, because every country has its own ideas, his own culture, you could say, from the history, how to attack all these kind of problems. So you're also helping us, but also your colleagues, when you bring this kind of cases, and feel free. That's more or less the message. But I'm really happy what I saw already on the discussion forum. So please go on with this interaction with your cases from your home country. Another question was about, okay, why do we making the web of the rail painting white? Because then it will lower the temperature when you have hot weather, like the student from Portugal. And I fully agree with this, but only be aware, painting means, white means that the radiation from the sun has there's a bigger hindrance to warm up the rail. But when the temperature, the air temperature is really high, like 40 degrees, yeah, what can you do? So the paint doesn't help. So it is really important, what do you like to prevent the rail? Is it from the radiation from the sun directly, or do you like to do something to cooling down the system? And cooling down with paint because the air temperature is high, forget it. Then you have to use, for example, water and cooling down with water. But that's not so easy, I would say, to cool down all the rail bars by water in your system. So yeah, what can you do? Maybe you can say, okay, the neutral temperature I have to lift a little higher. But the suggestion I read to say, okay, could we use another material? That's not an idea, because steel is steel and the expansion coefficient is more or less fixed. You can change a little, but then I would suggest please come up with another material. Maybe a nice challenge for you. Let's see. The last question of today was about why don't we use polymer chips, for example, in the ballast. Has a lot of pros, but also contrast to do this. The positive thing is you get more or less elasticity, less wear, so the life cycle will be longer, and that's exactly what you need, of course. But the other way, we also learned from under sleeper pads, for example, when it is too much elasticity inside the full construction of track, you get also a noise problem back, because the reflection of this will give, and also the movements inside the construction, give more noise to the environment. And that's also a negative part. Also a negative part is how to recycle, for example, when you have ballast and these chips, and how does it act during and over time for 20, 30 years. Maybe it's poison afterwards, that you have to have a lot of investments to get rid of this ballast with chips. Who knows? So there's always a balance. You have to think and keep in mind what is the positive things and the negative things. Can I pay this after this amount of years? There's a lot of done already with research. Also in our group we do some research about polymers, using chips or other things inside the ballast. Because ballast contact is always not the way you like, because too much same materials and moving to each other, you get the highest wear. And that's what we like to avoid. So a plastic skin around ballast, for example, could help as well. Nice challenge for the next generation, I think. But we like to change something, but it's not just say, okay, we use chips and then we are there. So be careful with this kind of ideas. Make the right conclusions and make the business case as a total system. That's important. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I did. I enjoyed these questions. See you next time. Be very active. Bring in your ideas, your questions. Feel free. Everything is for free. We like, as a full team from the TU Delft, to help you, to coach and also to put answers on the forum. Be my guest. See you next time and keep on track.